The atmosphere in those forests was very tense. The resounding silence gave them away. Everything was very quiet. No one was saying anything. Those present were too stunned watching that man in the orange suit, who deflected the cut of sword of one of the most powerful renegade ninjas in the shinobi world as if nothing had happened. Who? Who are you? The Zabuza clone would ask while trying to use force to cut off that meddler's hand, but he wouldn't have any success. Was that hand made of stone or something? It was impossible to cut it off. He would inevitably back away looking. To the new enemy that crossed his path, the renegade ninja tried to see some anomaly in that guy, but he seemed like a normal man, although deep down, he knew he wasn't. Something was disturbing him and he couldn't figure it out. My name is Son Goku. He now identified as Goku, who had a serious face directed towards the ninja with the great sword. He was not going to let that lunatic murder these children. You also dare to get in the way of my mission, Son Goku? Perhaps are you also from the village of the Leaf? Zabuza would smile when he saw that he had another prey for his sword Kubikirabak, but the question left the scion somewhat doubtful. Zaldea of the Leaf? I think they had confused him with another person. I don't understand anything you're asking me, but I won't allow you to hurt these people. Zabuza would begin to laugh mockingly. Who did he think he was? Orange idiot? Did he think he could stop him? Him? One of the 7 swordsmen of the mist? What stupidity! Ha ha ha, friend, what a laugh you give me. I don't know how you stopped my sword from cutting, but it was just luck. Nothing but luck. But he saw that that guy was just waiting for him patiently without fear, as if he was confident in his strength. Go ahead, idiot. Clank, but to the surprise of Zabuza and those present who were observing the facts. Goku stopped the blade again with a single finger. The swordsman began to cut non-stop, trying to give him even a wound, but the scion stopped them as if it were nothing with his finger. And to the brunette's dismay, it seemed as if that man was not taking it seriously, since he was now with a small smile. But how? The Momochi he would step back without understanding how it was possible that this guy could stop his cuts with a simple finger. It bordered on the absurd. No shinobi could do this. No one had the reflexes to stop such sword attacks with one hand, and even worse, with one finger. You better give up. The difference between our powers is too big. Goku would watch as the swordsman would frown at him. Sign of frustration. Were they perhaps underestimating him? Perhaps they were weak? Zabuza Momochi being a Class A renegade ninja? Damn, don't make fun of me. The renegade would attack once again without caring about the orange guy's warnings, but to the astonishment of everyone present. Goku was no longer there. But he was still next to the Zabuza that had Kakashi imprisoned in the water prison. The black-haired man would deliver a two-contained blow to the mouth of the swordsman's stomach, sending him flying to a nearby tree, causing him to lose control of his body. The water technique that held his prisoner. The silver-haired man would fall to the ground spitting water and breathing heavily for a few more seconds, and he would already be dead. The genin and the builder would watch with wide eyes as that man commanded fly with a simple blow to the renegade as if it were nothing. That blow was too accurate. Zabuza would spit out a large amount of blood between words. He couldn't understand how he was able to suffer this damage. If it was just a simple blow from that guy who looked at him seriously, he supposed that his taijutsu was really very powerful. You let your guard down considerably, trying to cut me with your sword. Now it would be better for you to go back to where you came from and take your friend who is hiding among the trees with you. The renegade ninja would open his eyes suddenly when he saw that the mysterious warrior had discovered his assistant. This was bad. Not only was he good at hand-to-hand combat, but he was also a good censor. On the part of the spectators, they were confused. They didn't see him. No assistant anywhere. What did he mean by those statements? Mr. Zabuza! It would be better to retreat. He is not in a position to continue. A guy with a hunter's mask would take the swordsman and he would take him away quickly to avoid any conflict with the scion. Goku would feel them move away, but it would stop them from importance. I was sure they would see them again at some point, but now I had to see if the white-haired guy was okay. Hey, are you okay? Did you swallow a lot of water? The one from orange suit. I would watch as the man got up with difficulty and breathing erratically, as if he were tired. Yes. I'm fine, I just need to rest. Before Kakashi finishes speaking, he would fall unconscious due to the use of his Sharingan. The Scion would catch him before he fell completely to the ground. I think he ran out of energy. Goku would observe that his reserves were very low, but the strange thing for him was that his right eye took away a lot of energy, as if he couldn't stop said wear and tear. The black-haired man would approach with the Jounin on his shoulders to the boys who looked at him with their mouths open. "Hello, children, are you okay?" Goku would stand in front of the small group with a friendly smile, taking them out of the trance they were in to observe the imposing warrior in front of them, which in Sakura's opinion was perfect. He was a quite strong taijutsu user. "Wow, you are incredible, sir. With a single blow you stopped the guy who defeated Kakashi-sensei. How did you do it?" Naruto would exclaim with stars in his eyes, visibly excited. Goku would scratch the back of his head in shame with his only available arm. "With training and effort you can achieve amazing things, huh? What's your name, kid?" The Scion, he would ask with a nervous smile. He practically didn't know the name of anyone who was there with him. "Naruto, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage of the village hidden in the leaves, and they are my companions. Team, she is the beautiful Sakura, the bitter boy is Sasuke Uchiha. The old man in the back is the one we must protect. His name is Tazuna, and the man who carries it's Kakashi-sensei." Naruto would introduce everyone, although Sakura and Sasuke wouldn't like it even in the manamo as they were introduced by their crazy partner. "Nice to meet you, Naruto. My name is Goku, but I think I already know." They knew. "I hope we can get along well." The Scion would give a big smile similar to Naruto's. They both shared more things than they seemed. Out of nowhere, the black-haired man would see some trees, making the group also turn their gaze. Although they didn't understand what they were seeing, there was nothing in that direction. "You can go out now, guys. They are good people." And it happened. Two quite tall silhouettes would emerge from the forest. They looked like normal men, but when their shape was completely revealed, the group would be paralyzed with fear when they saw them. Well, people in quotes, since they didn't. They were entirely due to having gray and violet skin, respectively. Sakura fainted from fright at seeing those beings, while Naruto, Sasuke, and Tazuna were trembling and paralyzed in place. I think they are not used to seeing people of other planets. Hit would see how the girl fainted and the other three trembled with fear. If his theory was true, it would take a lot to get used to this place. Please don't eat us." Naruto would take a few steps back, making Hit and Jiren sweat a drop anime style for such a particular comment. "Calm down, they are my friends, they are good people, trust me." Goku would try to make sure that the boys were not afraid of their classmates, although the truth was, he didn't blame them. "Are you sure, Mr. Goku?" Naruto would ask the Scion, who smiled at him and nodded his head. After all, Hit and Jiren were not bad guys. "We won't do anything to them, kid. Relax now," Hit would say with his dry voice as always, making Naruto he calmed down a little, but he would still doubt those things or humanoids. He had never seen anything like it before, not even in his wildest dreams. "It's okay, but we won't take an eye off of him." "Did you hear?" Naruto would look at them suspiciously, while the murderer and the vigilante gave a sigh of resignation when they saw that they did not fully trust him, although it was justifiable. The old Hagoromo, I didn't specify that this planet was not familiar with beings from other worlds. "Hey, do you know a place to leave people? This man? We can't leave him in this state," the orange one would ask Tazuna, who was shocked and didn't respond. Goku approached and waved his hands in front of the builder, who was still standing there without blinking, making everyone sweated a lot when they saw this. "I think he died." Naruto would see that Tazuna after a few seconds. He would come to his senses, and with some doubts he would take them home, seeing Hit and Tazuna repeatedly. They looked to see if they were doing something. He had never seen those things. Were they some kind of modern ninjas or something similar? What surprised him a lot was seeing that they weren't human at all, since that their skin color gave them away. As they walked towards their destination, Naruto would talk to the Scion about the battle a few moments ago. He was so excited to know how he did, that he asked for advice on being as strong as him. Some shadow clones of the blonde carrying a Sakura who was still unconscious. Sasuke was looking at the ground, thinking about how weak he was for not defending himself against Zabuza. He felt like a coward when that swordsman appeared. He was an Uchiha, damn it. How the hell and nobody was stronger than him? I bet that man called Goku didn't even have a clan. I have to have that power to surpass Itachi. I must. I must achieve it. That strength will be mine, the Uchiha would think, looking at the guy in the orange combat suit who was distracted talking to his partner. Bond, with his lust for power that characterized him. He wanted to become stronger than his older brother to prove that he was the strongest Uchiha. He would deserve that title. Only him, no one else. Everyone was below him, and very soon he would make it known. From so much talk and thoughts they were having, the group did not realize that they had passed the country of the waves, and that they were heading to a house that was on the outskirts. Well, let's go. This is my home. Here we can take care of his master. Tazuna would give a long sigh having arrived home still alive. He thought he wouldn't make it, but thank you to the gods he was able to return from Konoha safely. Approaching the entrance, he knocked on the door and a beautiful woman greeted them. She was dressed in a pink sweater and a blue skirt in addition to brown sandals. Classic in the villagers without military training or ninja knowledge. Father, you're back. I thought you wouldn't make it. I was so worried. The woman would hug Tazuna with small tears in her eyes. The emotion of seeing his father alive, that means he had kept his promise, he had achieved. Now, Tsunami. I have returned and I also brought help, the help we need to free our people from this darkness that has tormented us for a long time. The woman would look at all the people he stood behind his father, but he would stare at Jiren and hit for a long time. He had never seen those people anywhere, but maybe they are a new kind of ninja, something like that. Miss, please, I need to leave this man in a bed or something comfortable so he can rest. Would you have a room or place to leave him? Goku would ask hurriedly, making the woman react, who looked at him. Sion would see the silver-haired man on his shoulders. Nodding his head, he would let them in, helping the one in orange to take Kakashi and Sakura to a guest room so they could regain their energy. 2 hours have passed since they arrived at the man's home. Builder, the genin, Tazuna, and his daughter would see the three strange visitors without taking their eyes off him at any time. Jiren was meditating on the ground without floating so as not to attract attention. He would have realized that these people he doesn't have the ability to fly or levitate. If they saw him, I was sure he would make a fuss or problem in the future. Hit was leaning against the wall with his eyes closed and would not have opened them again, even though he was not asleep. He was just avoiding those eye contacts. To tell the truth, he never thought I liked too much to attract attention or that there were a lot of people present, and Goku was sleeping sprawled out on the couch waiting for Kakashi's return. Those hours of doing nothing bored him more than necessary, and the scion he never liked to wait. Suddenly they would hear some steps coming from the stairs. Everyone turned their gaze towards them and saw that it was Kakashi, but he was leaning on a crutch to be able to move. Plus he had his Sharingan covered to don't waste chakra. Sakura also came next to him. Although she still looked a little dizzy, Kakashi-sensei. Sakura, I'm glad you're okay. Naruto would say with a sigh of relief upon seeing his partner and sensei in good condition, students who would nod in understanding. They could now be calmer knowing that their teacher was not in danger of death. But their students would see again how the Jounin had a serious face. Making the boys uncomfortable with Tazuna and his daughter, that serious face only meant something, trouble, and the big ones. Zabuza is still alive. And I'm sure he'll come back to finish what he came to do sooner or later. Kakashi placed his eye on Tazuna, who became tense. The builder knew that he was the target of those guys, which made him quite uncomfortable. So, to prevent that from happening, come in, the three of them will undergo hard training. Kakashi would notice different expressions in his pupils. She had to try to correct that defect in her, otherwise she won't be a good kunoichi in the future. And as for you, the Sharingan wielder, he would turn around to look at the mysterious warriors, who returned the gesture. Goku and Hit already reinstated as well as Jiren. Everything fell into a strange silence, denoting that what they had to talk about was extremely important. I'm sorry. I have forgotten to introduce myself correctly. My name is Kakashi Hatake Jounin of the village hidden among the leaves. Would you be so kind as to tell me your name and village, please? The three warriors would look at each other and then nod, and Goku take a step forward. Well, as I already told the children, my name is Son Goku, and they are my friends. This one here is Hit. The son would point at the violet-skinned guy with his hands stuck in his suit and his eyes closed. And this one here is Jiren. Now Goku pointing at the guy muscular man with gray skin with his arms crossed and a serious look. Ninjas would notice that the three of them were quite tall, maybe even taller than the third Ranage. They are a bit quiet, but when you meet them you will like them, really. Goku would say with a smile. It was true. At first it was also difficult for him to understand them, but when he did, they really seemed like very good people. And I think we are not from any village. Goku would scratch his neck in a sad way. They couldn't explain where they came from. He was sure they would treat them as crazy or something similar. I see. The silver-haired man would think about the options he had on the table. There were many, but it is better to have them as allies. When he saw Goku defeat Zabuza with a simple blow, he was sure that he must be at the level of the best jounin in the village. And I didn't want to know what the two others. How about we make a little deal? Kakashi would see that the three warriors would pay attention to him. In itself, that topic interested them. What kind of deal? The Scion and Jiren would turn to look at Hit, who would ask cautiously, being the best of the three when it comes to negotiations, he would be in charge of carrying things out. They help us in our mission. And in exchange we could give them a place in our village, since I doubt anyone else would want them, because of, well, their particular appearance. Kakashi would watch Hit meditate on the proposal. It was a fair treatment from any point of view, and fair treatment is welcomed by the... What do you think? The murderer may think it's a good idea, but he wanted to know the opinion of his group too. Maybe they were not satisfied. I say yes. Besides, I think that place is where the old man spoke in his stories. Goku would remember the story that Rakuto told them about the Senju, wars, and things like that. I think the same as Son Goku. Something will happen in the near future with that village, I'm sure of it. Jiren also approved the idea. He felt that great things were in store for that town. And he was never wrong in his speculations. Very well. The being from Universe 6, seeing the acceptance of his companions, decides to turn again to see Kakashi and be able to close the deal. It's a deal. We will go to that village. The sensei of Team 7 would nod in relief at having convinced the three warriors to accompany him. In his heart he feels that he will regret it in the slightest in the future. Perfect. Our mission is to protect Mr. Tazuna until he finishes a bridge for his people. The three strongest warriors of the 12 universes would nod when they knew the mission of Team 7. It was not complicated at all. In fact, the energies that they felt around it, it was no problem. If it's not too much trouble, we'll leave too. Jiren would say politely towards the builder, who with a nod would let them go. He didn't want to get involved. That guy is in trouble. Well, we're going to practice tree climbing. Kakashi would say with a grin, watching his three students who fall backwards to the ground upon hearing that they were going to do such basic training. And useless according to them. Forest near Tazuna's home. Goku, Jiren, and Hit would be in the middle of the forest away from Tazuna hunting. They did not want to disturb, and they did not want curious people to see them. They did not want them to discover their true strength. Not yet. Everyone would train in their own way. They would meditate, Hit trying to evolve his skills, and Goku doing warm-up exercises, the ones he always did before a battle. The black-haired man observed the sky carefully, seeing the figure of Goten and Gohan in the two most precious things that he had in these. Since Chi-Chi's death a few months ago, he promised her that he would take care of them with his life, but being here he felt that he was going back on his word. He had to put an end to them quickly. The problems that tormented this world, he had to do it for them. Hey! Goku would call the other two warriors, who would stop what they were doing to see what that particular Scion wanted, although they already had an idea of what he needed. How about a training fight? It's been a while since the three of us faced each other together. Goku would look challengingly at the murderer and the vigilante, who they looked at each other a moment, and then give a small smile and a nod. This would be very interesting. Well, I still have a pending job. Son Goku, and with this fight I will find out what the fruits of training and evolution. Hit would say, walking away and putting himself in his classic fighting pose that he learned when he faced the black-haired man for the first time in that tournament between Universe 6 and 7. It's time for revenge, Son Goku. This time I will obtain the victory. Jiren would also exclaim, walking away with a challenging look, what better opportunity for revenge than this? The vigilante did not have a defined combat posture. His nature was more to counterpunch and counteract enemy blows and attacks. But if we fight now, we will draw attention, and we could destroy this planet if we don't hold back. I say this because it already happened to me. The Scion would give a nervous smile when remembering their confrontations against the god of destruction, especially that time they destroyed the eastern and southern galaxies without realizing it for not having contained themselves, so was had to go back in time to stop them and avoid said catastrophe. This time the same thing was going to happen. They were in the middle of the forest and on a planet similar to the Earth. Hit and Jiren, who accompanied him, agreed with him. Here was too easy to attract attention, and they did not know with certainty how much this planet would withstand the impacts and shocks of energy. I'll take care of it. The violet skin being concentrated for a few moments so that out of nowhere the surroundings would be covered by a kind of emerald red mirrors, leaving the black-eyed and the vigilante somewhat confused. We are on another existential plane. Here we can fight freely without interruptions, and we will not have to worry about destroying this place. The assassin would explain to resume his combat posture. I didn't expect less from you, Hit. Every time we see each other you always surprise me with new things. Very good, let's fight. Goku would smile with determination to proceed to get into his classic turtle-style fighting pose that he learned several years ago. This fight was serious and he would take it as such. The tension was felt at very high levels, and no wonder. The battle was about to begin between the three most powerful mortals of the 12 universes. The atmosphere within the time barrier was very heavy. The breathing of the warriors could be heard due to the deep silence that manifested in the environment. The tension was at the highest possible levels. The three warriors, the most powerful of the 12 universes, were ready for battle. Even if it was just a little training, they would take it as seriously as possible. They would use everything they had. They would not hold anything back. The three, they would look at each other for a few more seconds, so that from one moment to the next they would disappear from vision and begin an exchange of blows very quickly for the human eye. It was a combat all against all without any respite. But it was noticeable that Jiren had a wide advantage over Goku and Hit, who were trying to open a gap in the Vigilante's perfect defense, although it was a complicated mission, since he always kept his guard up, and it seemed like he wasn't even trying at all. The Scion would move away from his opponents for a few brief moments to give a big shout to the sky and thus transform into the Super Saiyan Blue in order to balance the balance a little. But there was something different in the transformation. His hair was darker than usual, it had a denser aura and now had pupils in its eyes. The assassin of Universe 6 would remain completely silent due to his astonishment at seeing the change in his rival. That transformation. Jiren couldn't believe what he saw either. Apparently Son Goku had obtained the same transformation as his partner in the tournament organized by the King of Everything. Yes, he is the perfected Super Saiyan Blue. It took me some time to understand it, but I see that my training paid off. Goku would say with a proud smile. Apparently his training paid off better than expected. And that was evident in the faces of his companions. They're not bad at all. Goku, you also surprised me with your new tricks. I guess I'll have to get serious against you. Hit would say while pressing the button of his belt, causing the lower part of his suit to come off for greater mobility. This would leave his companions somewhat confused since they had never seen him do that before. Hello. I didn't know you could do that. The gray one would watch as the red eye moved his limbs more lightly. I only do it in special cases, and this is one of them. The assassin would smile with enthusiasm to proceed to position himself again in his defense pose, but Jiren was not going to stay behind them. He would expel power and a double aura would form around him similar to powerful flames. Okay, here I go. The now blue-haired man would launch himself at maximum speed towards the two, initiating another fierce exchange of blows that made the energy dome they had placed resonate. Now the battle itself was more balanced than at the beginning. At a certain point the assassin would make his jump in time that he could now use for almost 2 full minutes, hitting Goku and Jiren who couldn't move at critical points. When the technique dissipated, they would spit saliva with a little blood from having been hit repeatedly without having the ability to defend themselves. Without delay the murderer would not give them time to recover, since he would hit the air that would be teleported to his rivals and directed towards the vital parts of their bodies. Although they would quickly rejoin and deflect them without problems when they discovered this technique in the tournament. Both would approach the violet-skinned being, but before arriving, the gray one would activate the abilities of his eyes, giving them thousands of blows in a second. their adversaries who could not see or foresee them. Before being shocked, the scion would do a somersault in the air and launch a powerful Kamehameha. The member of the Pride troops would deflect it with his eyes, and the assassin would move to avoid it with his time jump. When the three faced each other, new account, they would smile and launch themselves again to hit their fists in the center and start another round of punches and kicks that seemed to have no end, although that only motivated them even more. Far from the battle, in another distant part of the forest and near Tazuna's house, we see Team 7 gathered. The three young genin were sitting while the teacher was standing in front of them about to start their training of tree climbing, something useless in the opinion of Naruto and Sasuke, while Sakura paid all possible attention to her teacher's teachings. Very well, guys, now she will begin her hard training to control her chakra. I hope you are ready because it will be very difficult. The silver-haired man would smile in his classic way, closing his only visible eyelid, confusing his students. Wait a minute! Weren't we going to learn to climb trees? Because now we will do chakra control exercises or whatever that is. The blonde would ask excitedly, was their sensei kidding them? Is it Naruto chakra? And for that reason, climbing trees is a way to train your energy control. Kakashi would say, raising his finger trying to get his point across. Someone explain to me what chakra is, please. I don't understand. The Uzumaki stroked his head sadly, making his companion sigh with fatigue. The Uzumaki would never change. Sakura, please do us the honors. The bearer of the Sharingan did not have much desire to explain the topic, and the Pinkette was an expert in the art of teaching. Of course, Kakashi-sensei. Look, Naruto, chakra is energy that all shinobi have in our body. It is what is needed to be able to do jutsus, genjutsus, and other main branches of ninjas. After that brief explanation, Naruto would understand a little better about what chakra was, although he still had a couple of doubts. He was sure that he would solve them with time. Very well, you just have to try to concentrate his energy on the soles of his feet and walk towards the tree. The silver-haired man would explain and then proceed to do so. He would walk towards the trunk of the nearby tree with his hands on his back. Naruto and Sasuke would think that he was absolutely crazy. It was impossible to climb a tree that way. But his surprise was great when he saw the Jounin climb to the top of that trunk just walking without any kind of problem, leaving his friends with their mouths open. Pupils. All right, now it's your turn. Kakashi would shout to them from above, the blonde thinking it would be simple. He would run towards the nearest tree while channeling his energy into his feet, but when he stepped on the wood, it broke at the slightest contact, causing him to lose his balance and fall to the ground. Sasuke would try to make an attempt, but after walking 3 steps, he would fall to the ground without any explanation. They channel a lot of chakra into the ground, tree will break, and your channel will fall very little. You must calculate the necessary proportions to be able to climb to the top. Here you go. Mark with these kunai every time you manage to climb higher and higher. The bearer of the Sharingan would throw some kunai at his students to mark their progress. The Uzumaki and the Uchiha would not give up, taking the kunai. They would approach their respective trees again too. Try again. Very good, Sakura. This is how it's done. The blonde and black-haired man would look up, and his jaws dropped in a comical way. His teammate would see at the top next to his teacher with a big smile. Bah, bah. But how the hell did you arrive so fast? That the blue-eyed man would scream outrageously, thinking that Sakura had cheated. No one could get up there so fast. The reason why she got there faster is because she has less chakra than you two. Shinobis with less energy are more skilled in controlling it. No offense, Sakura. The sensei of Team 7 would explain, making the boys understand, and depressing the pink-haired girl. At the end of the day, I want you to reach the middle of the tree. Start! The Jounin would exclaim and then walk away towards the house of Tazuna. Meanwhile, inside the temporal dome, the fight had concluded with a 3-way tie, although they were holding back their strength a lot so as not to destroy that barrier and wreak havoc on the planet. Next, we will do it without holding back. With a smile, Goku would see his companions who would nod. This fight was not what they expected since they did not push themselves to the limit, but the next one they would. And there they would see who it was. The strongest. The assassin would remove the barrier to be able to return to Tazuna's house after that good training, but Jiren would see part of the hit suit on the floor, so he would decide to pick it up to return it. Assassin of Universe 6, I think this is yours. The red eye would turn his gaze to the gray who had his missing part of his suit. Thanks, I guess. Hit would take it and hook it again with his belt. Just call me Hit. It would be too strange if you called me a murderer in front of other people. They would think badly of the situation. The vigilante would nod his head. The inhabitant of the sixth universe was right on that point if he told him. Murderer in front of the other people, they could have wrong thoughts about him. Hey! The black-haired man will draw the attention of his companions who would leave their thoughts aside to pay attention to him. Have you felt the energy of that Naruto boy, right? Goku would ask seriously. Jiren and Hit would nod. He had three very different energies, the violet-skinned being would give his point of view on said energies that he had never felt before in his long years of life. One seemed familiar to me, although I don't remember very well from where. The vigilante would also talk about what he felt, that presence. He would swear that he had felt it somewhere. I think when we leave we will go to that village to check it out better. That boy causes me some curiosity. The scion would see how his new friends agreed with his idea. That boy had something special that they will soon discover. The three warriors would come to the bridge builder's house almost at night to be able to hang out and relax after that frenetic combat. In the house apart from Tazuna's family, there were also Kakashi and Sakura along with the guests of the place chatting about various things. Topics. Goku would ask about the other children, and the Jounin would explain that they were in some kind of training, and they would not return until the evening. Some would still feel a little uncomfortable with the forms of Hit and Jiren. Their appearance was one of the strangest and to some extent inexplicable that could be. But sooner rather than later they would begin to get along when they saw that they were not a threat and they did not intend to hurt anyone when they were talking pleasantly. Sasuke and Naruto would enter through the door, although their appearance was quite unpleasant due to the hard effort they used in chakra control training. Tsunami, I would recommend that they take a bath and then join the group. To which none of the genin objected, since they really needed that bath to reduce muscle tension and that bad smell they gave off. The woman of the house would give the Team 7 the guest room so that they stayed, while the warriors from another universe had to sleep unfortunately in the dining room since there were no more beds or rooms, although they were not necessary since they always managed to accommodate themselves. To tell the truth, Jiren and Hit, they didn't need to sleep. They were already used to leaving sleep in the background, so they left Goku the sofa so he could rest. They spent the days in that country, where with Team 7 trained chakra control while the Scion and his group helped Mr. Tazuna on the bridge. Their strength and speed were very useful. Thanks to this they advanced by leaps and bounds, and so the next few days continued. Universe 7, planet Earth, peace and calm could be felt throughout the planet. The sun was shining high in the sky, denoting the good atmosphere that could be felt in the environment. After so many threats, after so many conflicts, feeling a little calm, it wasn't so bad. We found ourselves in the Capsule Corporation, place of residence of the wealthiest family in the world, and also residence of the most intelligent family, who created most of the technological artifacts in the area. In that house, some preparations were being completed for a big party that would be held in a few hours. A party that was one of the important ones in the capital, since it was celebrating the birthday of one of the most recognized inventors in the corporation. That's right. Bulma Brief's birthday preparations were taking place, and she herself directed the decorators so that nothing was missing. On the main balcony you could see a man of short stature but with a large build. Physique, black hair and eyes. He was wearing white combat armor with a blue spandex suit, while in his arms he carried a small girl with light blue hair and eyes. She was playing with one of the black-haired man's gloves. Vegeta! Don't you think you'll come to help? A woman would shout from the patio, calling the attention of the now identified as Vegeta. She had light blue hair as well as her eyes and an elegant blue dress. HMP, that's not my problem, Bulma. The man would look away to another point, ignoring the woman identified as Bulma, making her sigh with notable annoyance. These scions have no remedy. The woman would shake her head and then continue helping to finish the last decorative decorations of the celebration. While with Vegeta, he was looking towards a specific part of the patio very carefully, as if he were waiting for something or someone to arrive, and after a few seconds, a strange glow would be present, making him smile slightly. It's here. Flying in the direction of the glow, it would be placed near it, and when it stopped, a kind of strange yellow machine would have manifested itself. The hatch would open and a young man would emerge from it. with a blue hairstyle like his jacket and eyes. He was wearing black pants and yellow shoes, in addition to a large sword on his back. "Hello, Dad." A smile would be present on the young man's face, seeing his father in front of his eyes again after so long. "Hamp, I'm glad you finally arrived, Trunks. I thought you wouldn't come." The black-haired scion would confess to the one identified as Trunks. My mother invited me to her party before leaving for the future. It would be rude on my part not to attend." The young man of the sword I would press a small button on the machine, and it would be wrapped in a cloud of smoke, so that it would later be transformed into a small capsule. "Trunks!" Both scions would look in the direction of the call and would see a Bulma approaching them with great happiness marked on his face. Upon arrival, he would hug the newcomer with great enthusiasm. "I'm glad you were able to come, son." The woman would speak, extremely happy that her son was able to attend her celebration. "I wouldn't miss it for anything, Mom." The young man would respond with a small smile to then separating from the hug with her mother. "Very well, first of all, I want to know how things are in the future." Bulma would not finish speaking since a slight tremor would interrupt her. And when they turned around, the three would see the god of destruction of Universe 7 with his angel that they had left unexpectedly, and their faces could tell it was an emergency. "Bulma!" Beerus would scream euphorically, trying to locate the human as soon as possible. This was an emergency, and he needed her as soon as possible to try to solve it. Some steps would be heard to his right. Placing his gaze on the notarial sound, it was her. It was Bulma, but she was accompanied by two people. One was the other was Vegeta's apprentice, and behind them is the brat from the future, who, due to his hurry, had forgotten that young man traveled back in time. "What's wrong, Lord Beerus? Is it an emergency?" The woman would ask, worried. She was sure it was something bad. "But I wanted to find out the seriousness of the matter. Goku has disappeared." Shinobi World, almost a full week had passed, and the Genin already knew how to walk through the trees without their hands and in a perfect way without falling. Well, Sasuke and Naruto, because Sakura achieved it a long time before. While the bridge was almost finished, only a few small details were missing. At this moment, everyone was at Tazuna's house in a somewhat peculiar scene. "I want more!" Naruto and Sasuke were in the usual absurd competitions, but now they were doing it over food, something that in Haruno's opinion was truly meaningless idiocy. After digesting a few more dishes, they would vomit the food, causing a drop of sweat to everyone present due to the childish behavior of both genin. And they would get a small scolding from Sakura. Goku's group would look at the girl scolding always to the Uzumaki, but never said anything to the other boy. They didn't understand why this happened, but later they would ask Kakashi. He should know why. Why are they still here? They don't see what cat is going to kill them. A child would be present in the dining room. He was short and wore a large white hat. He was known as Inari by the group. The boy would get the attention of everyone present, who would stare at him. "Hey, that cat won't do anything to us. We are very strong. We are going to defeat them all together, Databeo." Naruto would say with conviction and confidence in his words. He had a path to follow, and he would never go back on his words, but little Inari would react in a rather abrupt and delirious way for his age. "Everyone will die. Don't try to play yourself the hero. No one is. You are from Konoha, will never know the pain of this town. Surely you never suffered like all of us." Everyone would remain silent, leaving a tense silence in the atmosphere, but there was someone who did not agree with the infant, and that someone was Jiren. He was a little upset by such words. Since he practically suffered worse things in his childhood, for this child to want to act important now, he had to go through hell on earth when he was just a little boy with no way to defend himself. He lost his family, his friends, everything, and yet this child yelled at them as if they had suffered worse things. Okay, nonsense, but there was someone else who took it the worst, and that was Naruto. "Do you want to shut up the hell up?" Everyone would now look surprised at Naruto. They never expected that scream from happiest boy in the group. No one expected him to react that way. "You were never alone. You have your mother and grandfather who appreciate you with their life. In change, there are people like me who never received love in their damn childhood. I never received a good night from a mother or a well-done son from a father. I assure you there are people who suffered much worse things than you. With a slam on the table, Naruto would leave the house, holding back tears in his eyes as he remembered a very dark and raw part of his hard childhood. Everything became a blur again. Sepulchral silence that would be broken almost immediately by Inari's cries. He would go to his room, quickly followed by his mother, who was trying to console him. Is what Naruto said true? The scion would ask Kakashi once this talk was over. The silver-haired man would sadly nod his head. Sakura and Sasuke were the whole time without saying a single word, but inside, they were very surprised since they didn't know that about their teammate. Well, to tell the truth, they never wanted to get close to him. That's right. People despise him too much for no apparent reason. They even had the nerve to leave a scar on his body on his birthday. And the worst thing is, the whole thing is that our Hokage does nothing to prevent these atrocities. He laughs at Naruto's misfortune, and it is something that makes me hate him. Kakashi would say the latter with hatred marked in his voice, remembering as his leader the person who has to protect all the people in the village. He doesn't care in the least if Naruto lives on the streets, or is beaten by the villagers, or dies of hunger, or real shame. Now everyone present had a mixture of feelings upon hearing that little story of the blonde boy. Even Hit felt a little sorry for him. They were shocked and at the same time sad. The boy would never harm a fly, and yet he must endure such barbaric acts from the same people in the town where he lives. Jiren perfectly understood the blue-eyed man's pain, being alone for a long time, without anyone to support you to get ahead. I didn't understand how they could hate such a happy person who the only thing he wants is the good of the world. Without a doubt, the vigilante is now extremely interested in that blonde. With Naruto, the genin would reach the deepest part of the forest. He had run for almost 10 minutes without stopping and without looking back. The only thing he wanted was to be alone for a few moments and reflect. He would sit down on the trunk of a tree while he remembered his hard childhood, the beatings, the insults, the abuse, in short, everything they had done to him, every time they hit him. Every time they yelled at him, everything. Not being able to contain his tears anymore, he would start crying without consolation under the starless night. Each tear represented his feelings that he kept for so many years in the deepest corners of his life. Heart, and now, they were all coming to light. From shedding so many tears, he would fall asleep without realizing it. The next day, the blue-eyed man would begin to slowly open his eyelids. He had fallen asleep in the middle of the forest without realizing it, where there could be thousands of wild creatures and wandering shinobi. Very good, Naruto, very good. He would try to get up, but he would feel a slight movement in his body, adjusting his vision. He would realize that it was a girl who was moving him. She was a very beautiful young woman, black hair and eyes, in a pink flowered dress. Without a doubt, she would fall in love with him. Any boy. Wake up, child, or else you might catch a cold, and it won't be good at this time. Her sweet voice would reach his ears like the song of angels, making Naruto sit up again. Quickly, so as not to make a fool of myself. Don't worry, I'm not going to catch a cold. I can't do it. I can't fall. I can't give up on anything. I must protect my precious people, Databeo. The Uzumaki, he would say with a big enthusiastic smile on his face. The girl would laugh tenderly when she saw how energetic this boy was. He was undoubtedly very particular. You have a lot of energy from what I see. My name is Haku, and yours? The one now identified as Haku would ask the Ajiazu. I was really interested in knowing the name of such a curious child. Uzumaki Naruto, future Hokage of the village hidden among the leaves. At your service. Naruto, with a radiant smile, would introduce himself to the brunette, who would nod her head upon knowing his name and reciprocating his greeting. Fence, you have a lot of confidence in yourself when saying those words. No ninja says those words these days. But, from what I see, if you continue like this, in the future, you will be able to be. I trust you. The young woman would see how Naruto became serious for a few moments, leaving her somewhat confused. I will train day and night to protect the people I care about, and to protect my village. I will even die trying if I must. That is what a true Hokage does. Always watch for others. Even if they turn their back on you, you go to the front for them. Haku would be amazed to hear such words. I would bet anything that no child of Naruto's age would say things like this. It was really very surprising. I also have an important person to protect, and that's why I'm collecting these healing herbs. See? By the way, could you help me please? Please? The girl he would show that special herbs, to which the Uzumaki would gladly agree. If he was going to be Hokage, he had to help every person who needed it without exception. And regardless of whether he was from other villages, he would always help those needy, because that was his ninja way, and he was never going to back down. Time later. The morning passed quickly for both of them. While they collected the necessary herbs, they began a pleasant conversation so that the work would not be so tedious, and at noon, the girl had already collected enough medicine for her friend. And she could leave calmly and without worries. Thank you very much, Naruto. I really thank you with all my heart. With this, my friend will recover in a very good way. Well, it's time to say goodbye. I hope to see each other again. I had a great time with you. Goodbye. And by the way, I'm a boy. Haku would say saying goodbye, but a laugh would stop him in the act, making him look to the boy with doubt. I knew that from the beginning. I'm not as stupid as I seem, and just as that phrase came, the Uzumaki left the area in a sunshine, leaving the boy somewhat distraught. The day passed normally between training and helping Mr. Tazuna, as was customary in this place. There was no relevant news that could be told, except the return of the Uzumaki to the house of the bridge builder, apologizing for his bad behavior the night before. The next day, the 3 strongest warriors of the 12 universes would leave the house in the direction of the village, while Team 7 and Tazuna would head to the bridge to finish it once and for all and thus finish the assigned mission. Goku and company would see the desolate panorama of the village. It was sad to see the town in such conditions, even for a murderer like Hit. This place was very depressing. The children in the streets crying for food, the old men sleeping in alleys, the women asking for money. But they were going to find a solution to help those people. They promised the old Rikudu they would make a change in this place, and it would be a change for the better. Suddenly they felt 2 presences approaching Tazuna's residence. They were probably 2 thugs or something. The style, to attack Tazuna's family while he was busy working on the bridge. The vigilante, feeling the repugnant intentions of the people, would ask his companions to be in charge of exterminating those pests. They had no objection, and they just followed the gray man, who took flight towards the builder's house. This will be easy, my friend. We kill the child and rape the whore to take her to Mr. Gato. Like I love this job. I will never get tired of this, a man would say, smiling maliciously, ready to break the front door and be able to have his little fun with that woman. But before they did anything, an instinct too strong assassin made them freeze in place and kneel for no reason. Hell, this environment was too hostile even for them. And you think I'll let these good people do that? Both guys would turn away, look slowly, only to find a vision of their most remote nightmares. It was a humanoid with gray skin and completely black eyes, observing them carefully with crossed arms with a serious face. One of the guys had a very dubious stain on his pants, and the other was sweating profusely. What the hell was that thing? Was it human? Not even they knew for sure. You pollute this air with its disgusting breathing. Jiren would raise a finger so that a small red sphere would be thrown at the bullies. They, being scared and shocked by the appearance of that thing, could not move and ended up consumed by said sphere, generating a small explosion that when the smoke dissipated there would be no trace of either of them. People who take advantage of the weak are the worst trash in the universe. Jiren would see how his companions approached him, saying that they should go to the bridge. They felt a lot of energy in that place, but upon noticing the intentions, they would realize that a combat was taking place in these. A lot of energy in that place, but upon noticing the intentions, they would realize that a fight was taking place right now, and Kakashi's team was involved. But it was not going very well. The 3 would fly towards the site of the battle to put an end to it once and for all.